Hello, I'm Sandra Lee, and thank you for watching. This is Thursday Tips for Thriving, my weekly educational section here in the Thrive with Sandra Lee group. I am talking about fitness, weight-bearing exercise, and lifestyle habits that are so important for me to maintain well-being, to stay healthy. And it's really easy sometimes to let these things drop out. If I am not someone who just naturally and inherently keeps up with fitness, then things get busy, things get crazy. I just get out of the habit. I go on vacation, holiday, and I just drop the habit that I have established. And that happened to me recently. So normally I am really good at consistently doing my high intensity interval training every other day. But when I get busy, I let it drop. I stop doing it. So recently I was down in Olympia, Washington for a month and a half. And during that time, I was so busy that I allowed my exercise program, my consistent habit, I let it go because I was too busy. And some people, like my friend Amy Olson, who I interviewed yesterday, my guest expert yesterday, she is like, there is no way anybody is stopping her from doing her fitness, her exercise, because she loves it. For most people, I would say it's probably not quite that compelling a drive to do movement. So if you're like me, right, I do it because I know that I need to stay healthy, as opposed to this is something I want to do every day. And to be honest, I don't know that I will ever get to the point where it's like, yes, let's go, no matter what. I know there are a lot of people like that. And I admire them, but I know that for most people, you're closer to being like me, right? I need to do this for health. And it's true. We do all need to do this for health. So the way we used to be before industrialization and convenience foods and, telephones and TV and all that stuff, people used to move all of the time just for daily living. And my blog article this week talked about that. So it's like to get food and to have shelter required that I be moving all the time, walking everywhere, gathering food, hunting, running, all those things, climbing, hanging off trees or ladders or whatever. All those things used to be normal for everyone because it was required for living. That's not the world we live in now. Just to be honest, that's not ever going to be the way it is for most people. So fitness and exercise are the way that we make up for that. We compensate for that. Now, to tell you the truth, it doesn't really do enough, because even if I exercise consistently, I am still sedentary, not moving, sitting or standing for almost all of the day. But if I am doing at least some movement, some exercise, then it's going to keep me at least a little bit more fit and support my body in being healthy over the long term, because that's what we all want, right? We want to be healthy throughout our whole lives. I'm assuming that that's what you want, just like that's what I want. So how can I incorporate more of this important activity into my daily lifestyle? Because ultimately, that's what it takes to support true health. Let me see if I can get any live comments that might be coming. So how do I do that? Let's talk a little bit about why I would want to do that. There we go. So let's talk about the importance of weight-bearing activity, whether it's exercise or not. What happens when I have weight-bearing activity? It puts a demand on my structure to be able to support the weight. So here I have a hand weight. You can see it's 5 pounds. So what happens when I use this weight? I require my body to support this weight. It puts demand on my bones to be able to support the weight. If I don't do weight-bearing activity, my body says, these bones don't need to be really strong because Sandra's not putting demand on me. So I can take those resources, those minerals, and I can put them elsewhere. Calcium, the other minerals that are in the bone matrix. If I am not requiring my body to have these bones be strong, the body says, it's wasteful for me leaving these minerals here. And to tell you the truth, I don't have enough minerals to manage all the things that I have going on. So I'm going to pull that mineral out of there and use it somewhere else. Because the calcium alone, for example, is used in my bones, but it's used in how nerves function, the nervous system and all that stuff. If my diet is not optimal and the pH of my blood, the acidity or alkalinity of my blood is off, my body uses my minerals to help buffer the pH. This is a big problem and part of why so many people in our society have osteoporosis. Osteoporosis means like holes in my bones, porous bones, because I have not been putting demand on my bones to be strong. So the body pulls those minerals out and the bone becomes more weak. So what happens if my bones have holes in them? Osteoporosis or osteopenia, which is the state of osteoporosis before they call it osteoporosis, weaker bones. Then what happens when I put demand on the bones in a sudden event, like falling? We've heard of a lot of older people having hip fractures because they fall. That happens when the bones have not been required to be strong because of lack of weight-bearing exercise or weight-bearing activity, whether it's exercise or not. So the body over the decades has pulled that bone matrix out. So the bones themselves are not as strong. So if I take me, right, and the bone density has been pulled out of my hip and I have to fall, and I fall for some reason because it happens, I land and break something. Another common place where older people have lost a bone is in the wrists. And I think the ankles is another common place. Places where the body has not been putting density of bone, so it's susceptible to injury from impact. There are some older people whose bones are so fragile that, even, touching them potentially could be dangerous. Putting a normal amount of weight on a bone could potentially cause them injury. That's pretty serious. So you do not want to have that be the state of your life. If I have, over the course of the decades of my life, ignored this, not put any attention into strengthening my bones, both in terms of weight bearing, like I've been talking about, and diet, because both of those are important. If I haven't been doing it over the decades, it just gradually gets worse and worse and worse. Yes, at some point, when I become aware of needing to do this, I can start putting the activity, the weight-bearing activity, and the nutrition in. But to some extent, it's too late if I have waited for decades, ignored it for decades, and not taken care of myself for decades. So this is one area where it really matters to do it on an ongoing basis. The weight bearing is so important. And it's not just the bones that it matters to, it also matters to the muscles. If I require that my body be able to do these things, it also requires my muscles be strong enough to be able to do this. And if I don't ever do it, then my muscles say, we don't need to be strong. So, are you engaging in weight-bearing activity? Again, both as exercise, as movement, or just activities of daily living. Let's talk about an activity of daily living that pretty much all of us wind up engaging in, but maybe not taking advantage fully of that activity. Imagine going to the grocery store. And where do I park my car? Personally, I park my car far in the parking lot so that I have to walk at least from my vehicle to the store. I'm requiring myself to move at least to get across the parking lot. Now, a lot of people, they park as close to the door to the store as is possible for them to get. When I go to the store, it always amazes me. Where almost all of the cars are is up in the front near the door of the store, and all the spaces far away in the parking lot are empty. Why is that? Because people take advantage of the convenience of being able to park close so they don't have to walk. That's missing out on opportunity to exercise, to move, to require that my body be strong and capable of doing this. And then when I am in the store, almost everyone uses a cart, a shopping cart. What happens when I use a shopping cart? It means that I do not have to carry my groceries. If I have to carry my groceries, I am requiring that my body, my bones, my muscles support the weight. It's weight-bearing exercise. Are you taking advantage of that opportunity for weight-bearing exercise, weight-bearing movement, weight-bearing activity to strengthen your bones and your muscles so that they need to be able to support the weight? Now, for people who are not already fit, who aren't accustomed to doing these things, you might want to start wherever you are. If you haven't done any weight-bearing anything for decades, you might not be able to hold a 5-pound weight, and you probably don't have one sitting in your house. You can start with a can of food. If I am not accustomed to lifting anything, then a can of food might be a weight for me. And lifting it up in the air can be a lot of work, right? If I am just holding my arms up, if I were to hold my arms up for 10 minutes, 5 minutes, for some people, even 1 minute, I wouldn't be able to do it because my arms would get heavy from holding out like this. So my arm alone is a weight. If I haven't been carrying anything, if I haven't been requiring my body to support weight. So if I am in that state of having done nothing for a really long time, then a can of food is a substantial addition to the weight. If I am holding this can of food out on my arms, so it's like just now, I had my right arm up while I grabbed the can of food. And I'm holding the can of food now. And almost immediately, that can of food and that arm is feeling heavier than this arm that's been sitting up for, I don't know, a minute. So it's like by increasing the weight of my arm, buy a can of food, I am substantially increasing the weight that my body is required to support. And you've been seeing me here for, I don't know, a little over a minute, right? With my right arm up and now with my left arm up holding a can. My arm, my right arm in particular, is starting to get pretty tired from holding my arm up. And my left arm is starting to get tired from holding my arm and the can up. So this is weight bearing exercise. Starting at a level that anyone can do. If that's just holding my arm up, like this one is, right? That's requiring my body support weight. Everyone has food in their house that they can add in, if not a weight. Now, personally, I would not be able to stay here with my arms up holding that 5-pound weight. It's too heavy. I could work up to it maybe, but I wouldn't want to do that for 5 minutes. But this is weight bearing. Okay, so anyone can do that. Another thing that you can do that requires zero equipment is you can do push-ups. Now, if you can't do a push-up on the floor from your toes, everybody knows what a push-up is. Try doing a push-up on the floor with your knees down and pushing up. That's still weight-bearing exercise. When I do push-ups, I do push-ups for my knees. Now, if that is still too much for you, you can do push-ups on the wall. Pushing myself up so that I am requiring my arms be strong enough to be able to move my weight in space. In days when my high intensity interval training requires a lot of push-ups, I may do some of my push-ups from the arm of the couch. More difficult than doing them on the wall, easier than doing them on the floor, because I'm not requiring my body to move that weight as great a distance in gravity. So figure out what you can do and do it. There are some people who have, issues with not being able to move very well, people who struggle with even walking. Sometimes people have a hard time getting out of a chair. If that's you, that's okay. That's where you are. That's where you start. If you are someone who has difficulty getting in and out of a chair, then getting in and out of your chair purposely is weight-bearing movement. Requiring my balance be good enough to be able to do this, requiring that my bones and my muscles support me in doing that. And the more I require myself to do it, the easier it gets. And my body has the opportunity to get stronger because I am putting demand on it that it do so. If I don't ever demand, it's not going to happen. One of the most important measures of brain function I have heard is my ability to get down on the floor and back up. And there are a lot of people who are not able to do that very easily. If they were to be on the floor, getting up would be difficult. They might require help from another person. Less of a requirement is having something, nearby like a chair or a bed to push themselves up on so that they can stand up. But ideally, you want to be able to do that unassisted. Are you able to do that? Most of the people I know would be able to do that, but some would struggle with it. Wherever you are, again, I don't have any judgment for you. You take where you are and move forward from that place. Just like me, right? I'm not super into movement, exercise, fitness, but I do it because I know that it's beneficial and I need it. It also helps me reduce stress. So it's like something I've got going on recently that had me be talking about this whole set of topics here is I've got too much to do right now. Too many things I'm doing, mostly to build my business. And it's great that that's happening, but it also means that I am feeling overwhelmed, like I don't have enough time, and I haven't been allocating enough of that time to movement, fitness, exercise, and staying healthy. So I've started to prioritize that more this week in my posts. You hear me saying in my interview with Amy, the article that I wrote, that it's like, you know what? I'm putting this piece back in. I let it slide while I was gone for 6 weeks. I was so busy. But now it's time for me to put it back in because it matters. And to tell you the truth, when I'm doing it, it helps me relieve stress, feel like the pressure is less. Even though I've taken some time out to dedicate to this, it feels better. I'm having an easier time handling what feels like pressure of the things I have to do. So back to getting down on the floor. So if I cannot get down on the floor and back up with ease, that is an indication that there are things that might be not necessarily the way I want them to be in brain function. I don't remember who it was who I learned this from, but it was an expert in these kinds of things, neurological or something. And it really struck me that he said, one of the measures that we use for how your brain is doing is, are you able to get down on the floor and back up? So ever since then, I have made a point of getting down on the floor and back up multiple times a day, even if it's not needed for what I have to do in terms of activity. It's a good thing. One of the terrific things about a lot of fitness and exercise is that it involves this getting down on the floor and back up. If I'm going to do push-ups, I have to be able to get on the floor and back up. If I need to assist with holding onto something, then I do. I'm not going to scold myself for not being able to do it, but recognizing that my goal in the long run is to have that assistance not be required, to be able to get on the floor and stand back up with ease. For me, I'm at the point where part of what I want to make sure I do is get down on the floor and back up without using my hands. If I can get down on the floor and back up by using my hands to support my weight down and to push myself up, that's great. And if I can do it without requiring my hands, that's another level. Again, wherever you are is great. Keep that up and then make it more difficult. When I am doing my high intensity interval training, which I mentioned to you, I do, I follow a recorded video of someone who's an expert at this telling me what to do. This is one of the reasons why classes are so helpful, because I don't have to figure out what to do on my own. I just follow someone else's instructions in what to do. That's why I appreciated Amy Olson's 360 fitness classes that I started taking a little bit ago. I just follow the expert, the teacher, and I don't have to figure out on my own. But normally I do high intensity interval training with a video, and I make it more difficult than the exercise by using weights. So it's like, it's variable how difficult I make it be. And when I am consistent in doing my high intensity interval training, I get stronger, and I can tell. Like, I can use heavier weights because my body is strong enough, has developed strength enough to be able to support it. And I also know that I am putting requirements on my bones. Oh, let's talk about the grocery cart again. I was saying that when people go to the store, they both park close to the door and they use a cart. I carry my vegetables. I carry my groceries. When I go to the farmer's market, I can buy a lot of stuff. And I like it when my husband helps me so that he helps to carry this. But sometimes he's not available and I carry it all myself. And so we're talking about having, a couple of bags full of vegetables. That's a substantial amount of weight that I am giving my body the opportunity to be strong by requiring that I carry it. And that is activity of daily living, requiring my body to move and to carry weight as part of normal activity. That's really what is supposed to be our ideal form of exercise, of movement. It's just making life happen. If I need to carry something, that's got weight to it, I'm aware I'm putting demand on my bones to be strong. I'm requiring that my muscles be strong enough and capable enough to be able to do this. So, how can you create lifestyle habits that support you in doing all of this? And part of it is just deciding. Start where you are and do something. Develop a practice. Thank you, Karen. Now, Biofield Tuning can help. If I am in resistance, if I am struggling, if I am stuck, my energy is chaotic. And doing some Biofield Tuning helps me to get that energy flowing and moving and support me. So I recently did some Biofield Tuning for myself because I recognized that I was really stuck in this place. It had been over a month that I was home, but I hadn't been doing my exercise. Sound healing is great. Thanks, Karen. It helps. It got me out of that place of being stuck and into doing what I knew would be beneficial for me to do. So, Biofield Tuning is something that I do when people want assistance in changing their habits, changing how they eat, changing whether or not they go out and they do their walk, how I feel about myself and about my ability to do these things can get stuck. And Biofield Tuning is tremendous at supporting people in shifting those things for themselves so that they can be more successful, so that my efforts are more productive, so that I am accomplishing what I want to accomplish. And for me as a business owner, right, doing all of these self-care things is really important to keep me moving forward, not just with my health and well-being, not just with my relationships, but also with my business. Because all of this is required for me to be successful at doing what I need to do to make business happen, to make life happen, to be happy and healthy and well. So, Biofield Tuning might help you if you need some support in developing habits. I also do Biofield Tuning for people associated with the physicality. I work with bones and muscles and, injury repair, all those kinds of things. Whatever it is that's stopping you from doing what you feel like would be good for you to do, Biofield Tuning might be a helpful tool to get you going in a different way, support you in being the person you want and need to be. If this has been interesting to you, what have you learned? And what would you like me to share more of? Because I'm here for you. How can I support you and your business with these interviews, live videos, posts that I make here in Facebook land? Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day. Breathe and take good care of yourself. Support your body in being healthy so you can be happy, successful, and have the life that you love. Bye. Breathe.